Breaking: Mayweather Promotions CEO explains to the whole world they tried to make the fight with Gervonta Tank Davis of Mayweather Promotion easy work and Ryan Garcia, but it was Golden Boy that said they weren't quite ready for that. We'll talk about that in this video. What up, Fight World? It's your boy Ego, and I'm back with some more boxing. I invite you all, if you like the video, to actually hit the thumbs up and like the video. Let's jump into it. Leonard ELLERBE, CEO of Mayweather Promotions, he had made a statement. He said, "Facts 100." This was in response. ESPN quoted his tweet from earlier where he says that he tried to make the fight. It says Leonard ELLERBE says Mayweather Promotions inquired about a potential Gervonta Davis fight and Ryan Garcia earlier this year. But instead of using the ESPN link, we'll go to Leonard ELLERBE, who was the person who actually did that. There we got action. For the record, we tried to make the Ryan Garcia fight back in March with Golden Boy, and they told me they were exploring other options and he would be fighting soon. Wow. And that's literally what happened. Like, if you remember, Ryan Garcia said 2 rounds. He said, I'm going to knock out Gervonta Davis in 2 rounds. And he told this to Mike Tyson on his podcast. He had people like Oscar De La Hoya taking pictures and posting the pictures of them showing their 2 as if they were confident. But now we find out through Mayweather Promotions that that was not the truth. That Mayweather Promotions inquired about making this fight, and they said that they would be exploring other options. Then out of nowhere, Ryan said he's fighting Manny Pacquiao. Wow, this is a bad look, because we know the Pacquiao fight fell apart. It didn't happen for whatever reason, never materialized. And now Ryan Garcia has been MIA ever since. Golden Boy hasn't had any fights with him. And we do know Gervonta Tank Davis had a hell of an event, sold out crowd, beautiful crowd in Atlanta, knocked out Mario Barrios, and gained the adoration and respect of a lot of boxing fans. Even people who weren't really liking Tank before, they're like, man, Barrios came to scrap. I love what I seen from Tank. He said, for the record, we tried to make the fight, explored other options. Man, that's crazy. That's crazy. Now, Ryan Garcia, he did post, this is Ryan Garcia. He posted a picture of, I guess, a car or something. And he says, this is the only fight that matters. So he's seen it, and he's saying the only fight that matters. Man, this is a bad look for Ryan Garcia. Ryan Garcia says he has anxiety and, you know, things haven't been well. Boxing is a brutal sport, so you have to be able to balance that anxiety and angst and, you know, personal life with your actual, what you're doing, your career and things like that. So it's a bad look, because he was supposed to fight a dangerous fight, Javier Fortuna. So if you had so much anxiety that happened right around then, before you fought Fortuna, to the point where you've deleted the advertisement and promotional flyer because you're no longer fighting him, and Joseph Jojo Diaz is moving up. So it took a Golden Boy fighter from a lighter division to move up and fill the void left by Ryan Garcia. So to me, this was actually a concerted plan. Ryan Garcia was the mandatory for Devin Haney. Instead of fighting Devin Haney, he chose to have a final eliminator, which was also dangerous, Javier Fortuna. So to me, this is a setup. The WBC is Golden Boy, and Golden Boy is working with the WBC. That's what this is, because they had to safely guide Ryan Garcia and find something to get him out of fighting Devin Haney, the champion, WBC champion, who just fought Jorge Linares. Ryan Garcia, Teofimo, Bob Arum, and others told Devin Haney, fight a top 10 guy. He did that, passed with flying colors, did get clipped and hurt at the end. Ryan Garcia tried to taunt him and said, oh, I would have slept you, Dev. I would have KO'd you. But he's saying that from the sidelines while he's not in the ring, right? And I really believe that Golden Boy, look at what Leonard ELLERBE just told you. He said they tried to make the fight in March. He tried to make the fight in March, and they said they had other plans for him. What were those other plans? Pacquiao, that fell apart. And we know that De La Hoya didn't want the Pacquiao fight. It was like certain people on Ryan's team wanted to fight maybe, and it didn't sound like De La Hoya and Golden Boy ever wanted to fight. Eric Gomez, president of Golden Boy, was saying that the fight's not going to happen, and then it didn't, you know. So that culminated. So You didn't fight Tank after saying you would knock him out to Mike Tyson and the whole world, TMZ. Then you didn't fight Pacquiao, and Ryan Garcia posted a flyer, right? And he later had to delete it because he wasn't fighting him. And then you said to the world you're fighting. See, this is how far it goes back, right? January. So he said in January that he was going to fight Gervonta Davis. Then he switched it a week later, said he's fighting Pacquiao, none of which has happened. Now Mayweather Promotions says, like, hey, we tried to make the fight, but they weren't, they had other plans for him. And we still don't know what those plans are. So all these fights fall apart for Ryan. He's struggling with anxiety and mental health awareness, which is crazy because if we're being honest, Gervonta Tank Davis comes from one of the roughest hoods in the United States of America, Baltimore. His friend died, Frank, rest in peace, but his man's died. Other people, he tells you, a lot of people that came up with me in my gym, they're dead or in jail, strung out on drugs, all types of stuff. His coach was in prison, and through it all, he prevailed and has a lit career with the guidance of Al Heyman and Mayweather Promotions, right? And then meanwhile, Ryan is from Victorville, and he's saying that my life is tough and I got a lot of stuff going on. But Tank's out here winning fans over, doing backflips, and he's managing, he's managing. He was in there against a guy with a 6-inch height advantage who really came to fight, trained by an awesome trainer, Virgil Hunter. See, look, he got a rest in peace shirt on just to prove my point. Rest in peace to his mans, right? So why doesn't Tank have anxiety? You know what I mean? Or how is he able to, if he does have anxiety, how is he able to balance the two? Listen, I've said this before. If you ask 10 boxers, 9 out of 10 will tell you they didn't have a perfect camp. Like if there's no BS, no lying for the cameras, because of course, if you ask people how camp went, they're not going to tell you before the fight, oh, it was horrible and I got injured, I got dropped in sparring. They're not going to tell you that because there were rumors that Anthony Joshua got hurt and concussed in sparring by Joey DeVecco, and the team denied it. So I'm not talking about that. I'm talking about under oath or penalty of perjury, under a lie detector test. If you had a fighter and you asked him, you cannot lie, is your camp perfect? Most fighters will say no. 9 out of 10 of those fighters will say they have stress. They haven't seen their babies, their kids. They haven't seen their family. They can't eat the foods they want. They had a death or bereavement. They had girl problems. They're going through a divorce. All types of stuff. We're humans. This is just regular life. So that's the case. So it's really weird what boxing is doing with people like Ryan Garcia, and he's saying like mental health, like that's cool. Take care of yourself, but you can't stall out the division. Because the other fighters, Buster Douglas, his mom died about 2 weeks before he fought Mike Tyson, and he was like a 50-1 underdog, and he somehow beat Mike Tyson through it all. So this is not a great look for Gervonta Davis, for Ryan Garcia, because Tank is looking lit. He's selling out, and Ryan Garcia is on the sidelines telling you that this is the only fight that matters. But it doesn't. Why is it outside of Premier Boxing Champions? Why does it look like so many fighters and their teams? Look, he's saying it's the only fight that matters, right? But his team doesn't look like they're willing to allow it. So outside of PBC and Premier Boxing Champions, why do you see such a disconnect where it appears that the team and their wishes and what they want versus what the fighters saying they want seem to be so far apart? It doesn't seem like they're in unison. Ryan's telling you that he wants to fight Tank and he's going to fight Tank and he'll knock him out in 2 rounds. Ryan's telling you he'll spar Tank. Before that, they were saying that Tank and Ryan were going to spar in LA. But once again, you see the problem. Golden Boy said they're not sparring. Eric Gomez, let me see. I might be able to even pull this up.
How about Ryan Garcia? How come that thought?
What's up with that, man? What happened with the sparring, Tank? Who put it off, man? Who canceled?
His manager, his photographer, everybody canceled.
Look, this is a DAZN reporter. Leonard ELLERBE says, for the record, we tried to make the fight with Ryan Garcia back in March. DAZN reporter says this is true. There were negotiations between reps for Gervonta Davis and Ryan Garcia. Among the options was a 2-fight deal with Ryan Garcia that ended with Tank Garcia. Ultimately, it wasn't finalized, but it can be revisited. It certainly can be revisited. So Ryan got to get with his staff and his team, because it's like he's telling the world he wants to fight Pacquiao. He's saying he wants the best. He's saying he wants to fight Tank, and then it keeps falling apart, right? He's saying he wants to spar Tank in LA, but his team don't seem like they're willing to allow any of this stuff. So you can't blame Tank for that. And the funny thing is, a lot of people are trying to blame Mayweather Promotions because Floyd did that thing after Tank post-fight, and he said something to the effect of like, I'll never, or he said something like Tank ain't fighting no one outside of the PBC Mayweather Promotions umbrella. But Leonard Ellerbe just told you, for the record, we try to make a fight with the guy outside the PBC umbrella. So people are hung up. I can't wait to see what old media has to say about this, because people are hung up on the fact that Floyd did that quote and said that, oh, Tank will never fight someone, or whatever he said. Tank won't fight anyone outside the PBC umbrella. What do they have to say about this? It's being confirmed by Leonard Ellerbe of Mayweather Promotions. DAZN is saying this is true, their reporter, that there were negotiations, and Ryan's the one that's not fighting. Ryan's the one pulling out of a dangerous fight, but the way Tank is looking, he's more dangerous than Fortuna, just because he has crazy power and he's more experienced at the pro level, at the championship level. They're both, actually, and he's a southpaw. Javier Fortuna is an orthodox fighter. So this doesn't look good. This doesn't look good. Ryan's saying this is the only fight that matters, and he could say this is the fight that I want, but your team, if they're not willing to make it for you, then none of that's neither here nor there. That's just the reality of the situation. He's saying he wants to fight, and it's in my blood. He said, this is the only fight I want. I would love to make it happen this year. You know this, Leonard. But Ryan can keep saying this. His team has to be on board. Oscar De La Hoya, Golden Boy. Golden Boy just lost Canelo. Look, he's saying recharged and ready to get back. So he already has a fight from the sound of his tweets, And he's talking about, I am not weak or soft from my mental health getting the best of me. Man, stop it. You know what it is. I encourage you to hit the like button. Let me know what you think. As always, hate, comment, and subscribe. Till next video, Egos, I know.